Reef DVM's coming at you tonight with an update on barn pad and water lines. This time of year is typically a good time of year to get started on projects, and we had contracted this project way back in last year, so there's no stopping it at this point. It's kind of build it or go home kind of theory. So here's the plans on this barn. This barn is not up yet. This video is just going to kind of show you the pad and the effort it takes in it to get the site prep done. We'll show another video as it goes up. Of course, it starts here out, it's actually Easter week at this point, and it's finally got the snow off the ground, believe it or not. It just actually melted, which is really nice. So we're going to get out here and, take 2 tape measures and do some geometry and get the posts in place and see if we can get this thing built up. Once we get the posts of the 4 corners in place, it's really pretty simple to start figuring out level. Granted, you can buy an expensive laser tool, but on the farm, sometimes we just go with the old school method, which is string. Start at the highest corner and string from there level, using a level and a guide wire. And, it's old school, but it still works. It still gets us, within reason. A couple other things. This barn is on a little bit of a slope. And the slope on the north side of it, where water comes down, would put a fair amount of water right up to the barn. Now, granted, even though we're increasing the pad height so that water can go around it, I'd prefer not to have the barn slab, if you want to call it that, getting water underneath it. So we are going to drain tile that north side to both the sides of the barn, the gabled ends of the barn. And to do that, we're going to use just a perforated drain tile. This barn is only 54 feet. There's a 55. I forget. I have to look back on those plans. But it's about 55 feet long. So we're going to take 100 feet of perforated drain tile, and we're going to run it from one side all the way out to the around the corner and out the other, and have it drain to daylight. I've learned a long time ago in heavy clay that heavy clay will actually hinder these perforated drain pipes, and I don't like that. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going to dig a trench in. The goat's there. And I'm going to use the kids' help. We're just going to bury it here with some sod. Now, ideally, with one of these, you would gravel this. You'd put this in with a sock on it to keep, again, the clay out of it. I find that it still works quite well without the gravel, so I'm not going to gravel it. But ideally, that's what you would do. You take like a clean rock, maybe an inch size or half-inch size. You'd put that down, lay the sock on top of it with the perforated pipe, and then put it in the ground. I'm also going to be putting in some water line. This is some of the water line that's going in. And to get that in, I'm going to have the girls actually just unroll it across the lawn and get the heat on it. It's about 39, 40 degrees out here today, and that will really help get this pipe to relax. I'm not burying this pipe 7 feet down. This is the water line that's actually just under the concrete slab in the heated building. And because it's under the concrete slab, in a warm building with, the concrete being warm, it's probably not going to freeze. So I'm not too worried about that. But I will have the main water line coming into it where I'm putting this frost faucet. I am going to have that 7 feet down. So again, the 250 psi, 1 inch, ultra poly water line will come into the barn, and then as it comes into the barn, it'll come up this ground faucet, and then from the ground faucet, we'll pump it, to where we need to in the stalls and so forth, with that black one that you saw us just unravel. When I put in my ground faucets, you guys have seen videos on them in the past. I've got a few of them made. I like to put some insulation around them just to keep that cold clay as it comes in on that edge of that barn from reaching that faucet, if I can help it, just to give it a little bit more time against any frost that's trying to reach it. And again, I'm going to take the 26G. It's been a good tool for us on the farm. It's a fantastic tool. It's got about an 18-inch bucket on the front of it, and we're going to dig down about 7 feet, and we're going to trench in the water line. I find the best time to do that is when you're building these barn pads. Now, a lot of people do this after the pad's been built and the barn is up. I find that to be a kind of a pain in the butt. If you do some really good measurements of where you want this water line to come up, and you've set your four corners of your barn in, and you've got good plans from Morton or whoever you're using, you can bring this water line up and be within inches of where you want to be. So again, we're gonna put this in. So I'm backing up quite a ways until I hit another water line where I can attach this into. As you can see, the 2060G has plenty of reach. This is, I think, the second smallest excavator John Deere makes. I like it though because it's little, it's small, it's compact, but yet it's got plenty of power to dig down. It's got good lifting ability. I've lifted engine blocks, engine heads up. I've picked up trees and stumps, and of course, digging in water lines, cleaning out culverts. Been a really good machine for us over the time. So we're getting this thing dug out, and then we're going to lay the blue pipe in it. Once I get the blue pipe in it, I'm going to put the frost faucet in its right spot. And then, like I said, then underneath the concrete section, we'll lay that black pipe in. So it's all basically ready. Then we'll put the pad on top of it. And the pad I intend on using for this particular barn is going to be a gravel pad. And the reason is because there's going to be some concrete and stuff poured on it, and I find that compacts really well. The trench is 7 feet deep. I think, as you can see here, I'm in it. I've got a little bit of water that's seeped in here since I started digging it. But that's not a big deal. We certainly can work around that as we put the yard hydrant in. These things work, really well, so I like them. So I laid some gravel down, and then I put some plastic bags from the gravel over the top of it, just stop the clay from kind of getting in it. I've actually got a pail down here at the bottom of my frost faucet or yard hydrant, and I do that just to, again, keep that clay from collapsing in on it and taking up the space where I really want that little water spigot to spray water out when the faucet needs to empty itself. I've got the foam on it just to give a little bit of protection because it's going to be right up against the edge of the barn. And like I said, it's just inside the barn, but right on the edge. So I still got that foam in case any frost tries to creep its way in, so to speak, okay? And then, like I said, from here, I'll plumb the black pipe in. Now, we're obviously going to fill this with this trench with the skid steer. But since I've got the water line in there and I don't want it to keep coming up because there's some water filling it in, the girls are just shoveling in some gravel just to hold the water pipe down. A little bit of a messy job, but got it done. This is what it looked like that evening. And again, the pad's not made yet, but you're going to see the pad here. We're going to get it made in a second. But I covered this all up, and I did save some of the dirt because I've got a little portion over here where I've still got to connect the water line up. So I'm going to still have to connect it up to give it water. So I'll do that another day. This is the internal part, so the pipe that runs across for water inside the barn. I'm actually going to put it about a foot into the earth here. Just scrape the top of the dirt with the excavator. And I just laid a couple chunks of sod to kind of keep it in place. And then I'm actually going to push the sod and the dirt back over it. And then I'm going to fill this again with the gravel and make the pad. And when I do that, it's probably going to end up buried about maybe 2-3 feet down, which is good depth for working with to get hooked back up later on. And I will hook it up before the concrete pours, but then it will end up, below the concrete and underneath the pad, and that's what I want. That way it won't be in our way for the stalls and stuff, and it can come up where I need it. So here we are working on the pad. The dumps are coming in, so you can see the truck is dumping it as we speak. As each load comes in, we're on the skid steer, and spreading it out. The girls are just kind of helping me rake. That line that I have, a very thin string line. It's very, very taut, and that line is what I'm using. It's actually starting to snow again. Can you believe it? That line is what I'm using to tell where level is. And as you can see on the back side here, I'm bringing it up several feet. On the front corner, not quite as much. And you can see where the yard hydrant is that we had put in and how we're building up the pad. This pad is built out of 16-yard loads, and there's 8 of them that it took to build this pad up. I'd say on the one corner it's probably as high as maybe 2.5 feet. Of course, on the upper corner it's just maybe an inch or two. Got a nice slope down to our driveway. Should be a nice pad. I expect a pad like this to settle about 4 to 6 inches, so I'll probably have to use at least another load just to kind of top dress it and finish it out. You can see the string there. We're going to have to feather out this edge and stuff, so there's still going to be some more work on the pad. But I'll show you here kind of a final shot once we finish it out. So here is the final shot of the pad. It turned out really well. You'll see pictures and video of when the barn gets put up on it. I think this structure should work really well for us. I'm looking forward to it. Do I wish to be building it in this time and environment? No, but again, I'm already committed. So thanks for watching and following along as we just got this barn pad in, and soon we'll be putting up a barn, hopefully. Thank you, folks.